This is, some might call this the final session. This is the encore session. Thank you for your uproarious applause. And we'll move on to the encore session.
Give us 1 second.
Okay, sure, you bet. Great, very good, thank you. My name is Charles Kaufman. I'm president of B'nai B'rith International. I'm very pleased to be with you at the encore presentation. This has been a long day of insight, analysis, and contemplation, or as we Jews of the world call it, Nila. Again, I want to thank the EM4 in the Blue Zone, the Jerusalem Institute for Strategic Studies, B'nai B'rith International, American Hellenic Institute, and the American Hellenic Educational Progressive Association for organizing this stellar conference. What a wonderfully full day this has been, considering we've crossed thousands of years, multiple civilizations, disputes, conflicts, and even wars, misinformation, and maybe disinformation. We've ultimately reached a new level of understanding. You've all been brilliant, truly, and I salute you all, kol hakavod. It remains a tradition in my family, and perhaps in yours too, since we're all one big family, that world events of the week get discussed and debated to the point of eruption. It is our own Vesuvius. At this moment, a neutral party at the Shabbat dinner table proclaims, now that we've solved all the world's problems, let's move on to dessert. Well, maybe we're reaching the end of this exhilarating day. Our concluding session is a synthesis of this outstanding conference, so let's move to dessert. We are privileged to have two right now, but we will have three extraordinary presenters in this session with Ioannis Kasoulidis, the former foreign minister of Cyprus. Tzachi Hanegbi will be here. He's Israel's current Minister of Regional Cooperation. And Dr. Eran Lerman, who is, last but not least, but he's our JISS Vice President. And so I will briefly introduce each speaker separately. So, Ioannis Kasoulidis served his country as foreign minister for 11 years. From 1997 to 2003, and from 2013 to March of 2013. He served as the member of the European Parliament for 2 consecutive terms, as mainly member of the Foreign Relations Committee, and he was elected vice president of the European People's Party in charge of foreign affairs. Despite the re-election of President Anastasiadis, he decided that the time was ripe to retire from active politics last March. With that, we invite you to begin. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. I thank the organizers, and I want to assure you that I will not reopen the debate regarding Turkey and Cyprus. The debate today regards the new security concept and challenges in the Eastern Mediterranean, and I'm going to limit myself to this issue. First of all, the new challenges involve the surge of fundamentalism. We have Sunni Muslim fundamentalism, Daesh, al-Nusra, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, what have you. But also we have the Shia fundamentalism, caused Khomeinism, and the demonstrations with even Hezbollah, the presence of the Revolutionary Guards in Syria, the presence of Hezbollah in Syria, the civil war in Syria, And then we have the Muslim Brotherhood, it was trying unsuccessfully to get the power in Damascus. It had the power in Cairo. We cannot say that President Sisi has acted immorally, as I heard, by a coup d'etat. I've never seen coup d'etat taking place with millions of people in all the cities of Egypt supporting the move to oust President Morsi. I have never seen such a coup d'etat. If we compare it to the coup d'etat in Turkey, the people revolted against the attempt of the coup d'etat, quite rightly. In Egypt, the people wanted the army to oust President Morsi. In both ways, the people prevailed. There is we cannot say this is wrong and this is right. Now, I want to remind you that Muslim Brotherhood is the precursor of jihadism. Mr. al-Zawahri, the leader of Al-Qaeda, was a former Muslim brother. Now, the priorities for security concerns for many countries in this region have become Iran and its role, and international terrorism in its new manifestation. I know that Israel has a great experience on terrorism because for many years was defending its country alone against terrorism. Now, the terrorists, the fundamentalists, spare nobody. And let us not say that this country is in danger, the other is not. The fundamentalists brought in the archaic concept of Dar al-Islam and Dar al-Harb. That means that the areas where the Islam prevails are the areas of peace. The rest, the infidels, are the areas where they should become Muslims, otherwise they should die by the sword. That's for the fundamentalists. So therefore, fundamentalism, jihadism, will spare nobody of us. Cyprus' geographic position acquired in front of these new developments new responsibilities. We are situated in such a geographic position that we are very close to ports of neighboring countries where there are decisions by international community, sanctions, either by the United Nations or the EU. So therefore our duty and our obligation is to credibly observe that the decisions of the international community are upheld and therefore be very vigilant to what passes by in our ports, airports, or what is happening in our extensive business center, where we have to be vigilant that proceeds of illicit crime from terrorism doesn't pass through our banks, money laundering, and any other form that can allow international terrorism to operate. Thanks to a network of cooperation with security and intelligence with big powers and with neighboring countries, particularly Israel, we have demonstrated a lot of successes. We had a number of big successes in intercepting shipments of forbidden material to go to Syria, for instance, or to Iran. And they have been confiscated according to the decisions of the Security Council, of dual-use material, of material potentially to be used for nuclear proliferation, of any of the sorts that are forbidden by the international community. This kind of cooperation and these successes, the more they were taking place, the more we were trusted to cooperate with all the stakeholders on security and intelligence. We have also thwarted 2 specific terrorist attacks on our soil. The first was for a Swedish of Lebanese descent, who has admitted to be a Hezbollah operative, who was taking photographs and has plans spying on Israeli tourists. It was at the time when we had the terrorist attack at Burgas in Bulgaria. This person was sentenced by a court in Cyprus and was sentenced to imprisonment. And the second was the discovery of 9.5 tons of ammonium nitrate in a house in Larnaca, again operated by a Hezbollah operant. And both cases were sent to the appropriate authorities in Brussels in order to corroborate with the terrorist attack in Burgas in Bulgaria, which enabled the European Union to declare the so-called, I'm not responsible for this, the so-called military wing of the Hezbollah as a terrorist organization. Working for security and stability brings us to the necessity of regional cooperation. Along with Greece, 2 member states in the Eastern Mediterranean, and let me say here, since we are talking 2 member states of the European Union, I want to tell you that you have many friends in the European Union. You will be surprised. It's the way the European Union takes decisions that perhaps displeases somebody. But Israel has many friends within the European Union. Now, saying that, with Greece, 2 member states of the Union, we have established a trilateral cooperation with a number of our moderate neighbors, beginning of issues of security. The need of security brought us closer together. And then we worked on other issues like energy, people-to-people contacts, etc. Now, this regional cooperation focuses on issues like the fight against terrorism and other asymmetrical threats, the nuclear proliferation, the traffickers of migrants. That's another form of international organized crime. But also working, as I have said, on energy. I will only say that the German Marshall Fund published a study pointing out how beneficial it would be for all these countries, the neighbors of the region, if they work together, either by making joint infrastructure work, or perhaps by using the infrastructure of one another. This, of course, you understand by the economy of scales how much beneficial is going to be. Our trilateral cooperation with Israel brings three democracies in this part of the world together, brings together for instance, for Cyprus, which is the next door neighbor of Israel, is the only neighbor that is not party to the problem of the Middle East. And it can offer itself for many other useful neighborly relations. On defense, for instance, Cyprus can act as a strategic depth for Israel, both on time of peace and on time of war. On time of peace, joint military exercises are taking place. The Israeli Air Force uses the airspace of Cyprus for their own training in a terrain that perhaps is not similar to that of Israel, but similar to that of other countries in the region. Let me not say anything more on that. And the Cypriot armed forces are trained on issues like air defense, use of radars, civil defense, and so many others. The strategic depth can also serve in time of war. Not because we will go and fight along Israel or along anybody, but because in time of war, if we just observe the humanitarian international law, our airports can be served for inbound air flights destined for Ben Gurion Airport in case Ben Gurion Airport may need to close down for a few hours. In case of aircrafts in distress that needs to land, other forms of assistance on humanitarian issues. And this close cooperation between the defense departments of Cyprus and Israel brought us into becoming customers of the Israeli military industry. Now I want to speak about the future because we have discussed it a lot today, and I want to clear certain things. Major General Golan said today that Israel works, the Israeli security forces work behind the table with Egypt. First of all, they have the common security threat in the Sinai Peninsula, but I hope on many other issues. And they work together, most probably, it's not for me to say, with Jordan, and why not with Gulf states. In my view, if this is going on under the table, the time has come to work above the table. Here is not the question. The question here is how they can sit on the same table and exchange views and opinions on a number of things regarding the security of the Eastern Mediterranean. And I want to clear this out. The idea here, this is an idea that Cyprus has been promoting for a number of years now. So I need to answer two questions that they were raised. First of all, this suggestion hasn't got to do with bringing all the countries of the region into a sort of OSCE-like forum. OSCE, yes, but between like-minded countries. Arab moderate countries, Israel, Cyprus and Greece, and perhaps others in the future. But this is the first idea. The second, because the question has been raised, for how long can somebody be hoping about this and not seeing happening? The circumstances of the region are such that I assure you, because I spoke with many colleagues of mine, former colleagues of mine, the ground is fertile, the idea is acceptable, but each time something happens, either here in Israel or in other countries, that one of them may say, no, now is not the time, when the time is more ripe. So that is why one cannot put a specific time that this will take place. I understand that regarding the trilateral cooperation between Israel, Greece, and Cyprus, there is some interest on behalf of the United States. I want to be very careful and very cautious. We shall have to wait and see. Talks are ongoing. Thinking is ongoing, but we'll see how this is going to develop. So, I think that this is the concept, this is the vision I have regarding our region, regarding the potential of cooperating in making the Eastern Mediterranean a more secure place. Thank you very much.